You're listening to Served Up, a podcast that features inspiring beverage professionals and topic experts that share their passions through meaningful conversations. I'm your host, Bridget Albert, also known as a Market Fresh Mixologist, an industry mentor with decades of experience. Grab a cocktail and sit back. Let's learn how we can make a positive impact in our industry. Hey, y'all, it's me, Bridget. Today, I was joined by Erika Flowers, the vibrant and passionate brand ambassador behind Copalli Rum. Copalli is a spirit known for its bold flavor, Belizean roots, and unwavering commitment to sustainability. Erika brings the brand to life with her infectious enthusiasm, deep spirits knowledge, and gift for turning every tasting into an experience. And this conversation will dive into her journey, her love for all things rum, and the energy that she brings to sharing Copalli with the world. Get ready. Erika makes rum culture as fun and as refreshing as the cocktails that she creates. So sit back, relax, grab yourself your favorite Copalli cocktail, and enjoy the show. Erika, welcome to Served Up. I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Can you share the story of really how you first entered beverage and spirits? You know, what really sparked your curiosity and what did that journey look like for you?
That's a long story. I'll try to make it as short and concise as possible. I've been in hospitality for a while, but I think as far as getting into the beverage world during the pandemic is where that really happened for me. Previously, I was a host and a server in a restaurant. Obviously, I had to take a pause once the pandemic hit. So I was no longer working in my restaurants. But when I was there, the bartenders that were working were always so free to share the information that they had about like New Orleans classic cocktails. We had a cocktail tour that would come through, and being able to like straw test the different cocktails or learn about the history was always something that interested me. Also knowing that like New Orleans is the cocktail capital, it was really important for me to know and be able to tell my tables that even as a server. Yeah, when I stepped away from that job, I found myself, kind of getting bored. And I'm like, I can't like just not do anything. Maybe it's the Caribbean in me, but I started a business called Taste of the Tropics. And that was kind of inspired by the fact that I, needed something to do, but also was like, who am I? What can I make? And it was pretty much stemming from my Caribbean heritage. I was making like sea moss gel and like teas and things, and it eventually evolved to me bottling cocktails as well that became well received here in New Orleans. And I loved that for me because at the time I was definitely more of a home bartender. Realizing that I didn't know all that there was to know, I kind of had the imposter syndrome that set in after I did have success in like pop-up markets when the world did start to open up a bit. People are like, oh, I love these drinks. Like, where do you work? What do you do? And I'm like, actually, I just do this for me. So with that in mind, a friend of mine recommended a program called Turning Tables, which is a 12-week bar program that, some of you all out there in the world might be familiar with. If you're not, please check them out. But I went through that program and essentially learned the basics of the spirits world, wine, beer, all of that, the production process. I got hands-on training and landed my first job with that externship that I got through Turning Tables at Cane & Table, rum-focused, Cuban-inspired food restaurant and bar. And the rest is history, really. But yeah, with my own interest in cocktails and that world and me creating something inspired by my heritage and the fact that, I just couldn't do nothing during the pandemic, and just, building on that momentum, going through that program, it kind of, evolved over time into where I am now, which is the national brand ambassador for Copalli Rum, which also ties into so many things. It being made in Belize, my family's from Belize. So it's like everything that I've been doing as I entered this industry has now come full circle in a way. And I'm really just happy to see, that my work wasn't in vain, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where your career path really takes you next because really, truly being in New Orleans, you are, as far as I'm concerned, the culinary mecca of America. Like there's just such terrific hospitality there, amazing food, right? Whether you're at Cure, even down to, the divey bars like Aaron Rose, or you're in a hotel bar like the Carousel Bar, the Hotel Monteleone, doesn't matter. Like you are always treated so wonderfully, and the food has so many influences on it, right? It's just not this one distinct thing, which I think really shocks folks who had never been to New Orleans before, right? When they first visit.
Yeah, New Orleans in itself is a melting pot, and the food reflects that. Like people come here, they're looking for the jambalaya, the gumbo, the crawfish, and they ask me, where should we go? And I think they're surprised by my response when I'm telling them to go to like the Vietnamese restaurant or the Asian
Mm-hmm.
spot or, the new fusion restaurant that's in town. And they're like, oh, you didn't name any of the classics. And I'm like, well, I'm sure that's already on your list. And my job is to kind of like give you that local insight on like what's new and hip and where we are going. Because I mean, we've all been to Bourbon Street at some point in our lives. And I think the one time was enough for us, especially as someone who has lived here for a really long time. Yeah, but there's just so much to see, so much to do. Hospitality for sure. That Southern hospitality is real. I'm originally from New York, so I came down to New Orleans in 2008. And since then, I've learned to slow down, be nice. People in New York are nice, despite what they've heard. But I've learned to be nicer and to really be open to listening and learning from everyone, like from the bottom to the top. It doesn't matter like how much money you have, like a random person passing you on the street can teach you just as much as, that I've learned in university or, in my jobs. So it's a beautiful city, very magical.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my favorite cities in the United States for sure. What drew you to Copalli Rum specifically? You mentioned a bit about your background and how your family had been from Belize, and what made you want to represent the brand?
Absolutely. So prior to working with Kapali, besides me being behind the bar, I also spent some time working with Lush Life Productions and under Lindsay Johnson, who is amazing. I learned so much from her. Kapali was actually a client at the time, and last year I was able to visit the distillery on an industry trip. And that was not my first introduction to the brand, but to be able to learn from it at the source, learn from them at the source was a whole nother ball game. And it was just amazing. And to myself, I thought, I was like, wow, if there was a brand I could work for, it would obviously be this one. Just the ties to my Belizean roots, the amazing people that I met there, how beautiful the property is, how clean the product is, like everything about it just drew me in. And I felt a similar belonging, like when I first visited New Orleans and I knew I would call this home. And I just, I guess it was meant to be, a year later, this opportunity presented itself and I connected with the brand. I was recommended for the brands. Thank you, Miss Lindsay. And conversations kind of went from there on what that would look like. Because prior to this, they haven't really had a brand ambassador, or they've had a few, but I don't think they've really given it as much intention to this team as they have now. We've brought on a lot of new sales managers, and my boss Patricia Vasconcelos is amazing, and I've just been learning so much from her. I'm really excited for this next iteration of Kapali, and just we're updating the brand visuals and the messaging, the videos, the website, everything is just getting a nice little facelift. So it feels important that I'm coming in at this time, but especially important because, I can speak proudly of this brand. I can speak confidently about this brand, having been behind the bar and, I've used and tasted so many different products. Like once I heard the story about this one and tasted how clean it was, I was just like, this is something I can stand behind, in front of, being the face of the brand confidently. So I'm very excited for that. It feels like an honor for sure with that Belizean background and to represent this brand on a national scale as well. Continuing to see my bartender friends across the nation is really exciting for me. And yeah, I really love this stuff and I'm excited for more people to taste it and get it into their bars and restaurants and also hopefully get a chance to visit Belize and have
Yeah.
it be something that they look out for when they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're really the one to bring the brand to life for others. So, with that said, for those that are unfamiliar with Copalli, can you describe really what sets Copalli apart from other rums? Because the rum space is a crowded space.
Oh, absolutely. So first and foremost, Copalli is made in the southern rainforest of Belize. You don't see a lot of rums coming out of Belize. It's usually not at the top of mind when people are speaking about the category, but it's one that they should get familiar with. It's made from sugarcane juice. So, you'll get that grassy, light funk on the rum, similar to like an agricole style. But of course, we are not made in that area that would designate it as such. But it's just the three simple ingredients: an organic sugarcane juice, red and black cane, non-GMO yeast, as well as rainwater that's collected right there at the distillery. It's a single estate rum, which is also amazing and very important with sustainability being at the core of this brand. Everything's happening there. We're growing the sugarcane at the properties being pressed there. After the sugarcane is pressed, we're using that bagasse, that byproducts, the fibers from that sugarcane to power the boiler for the distillery. Even the ash that is made from that is being combined with compost and like the vinasse, the byproduct that's coming from the distillation process, and chicken manure, and like everything is just made to create this organic fertilizer that's there and used at the farm. So I think a major, major part of this brand is how sustainable they are, the regenerative processes that they're able to establish and maintain there, and the fact that we have a negative carbon footprint. The community in Punta Gorda, a lot of these brands that you might have heard of or not, they might outsource their work. They're buying in, their liquid from someplace else. Like everything's happening there and the community is involved. The people of Punta Gorda have been employed, whether they're at the distillery working on the farm or even on the lodge, which is another aspect of this property. I can talk about that a bit later. And, they're happy to be there. They're being paid fair wages. Like these are things that are important to me. So when I had the opportunity to go there, these are the questions that I ask. Everyone wants to know. We've had a lot of things come to light over the years with different brands and people asking these questions or finding out like people aren't being treated fairly or they're cutting corners here and there. And I'm really proud to know that Copalli is not one of those brands. They're doing things the right way and making really delicious, clean rum that is not only having like the lightest effect on the planet, but like such a big impact on the community. And beyond just the rum, like they've donated their services and monetary donations to the people of the community as well. And to learn that alone is just like, okay, y'all are like really about what you say you are doing.
Comes 360, right? Because at the end of the day, I think what a lot of what people don't understand about spirits and wine, that it does come down to agriculture.
Mhm.
And, if you're treating the communities the right way and in really implementing good practices. Like you're saying, all these amazing practices for Mother Nature. At the end of the day, you're taking care of the people in the community, the humans and the animals and everyone. And so they're doing it the right way. And it's delicious. It's delicious rum. Let's talk about how good that stuff tastes. What is
Yeah.
your favorite way of introducing Copalli to people who've never tried it for the first time?
So obviously, we're going to taste the spirit by itself first. We have three SKUs available right now. We are currently in 8 states in the US and a number of countries. Obviously, hoping to expand that in the years to come. And, the more you drink Copalli where you are and available, the easier it is for us to expand. But we do have a white rum, a barrel rested, which is going to be aged in ex bourbon casks from about 10 to 14 months. And then we have the cacao rum, which is an absolute stunner. It's crystal clear. You would never know until it hits your nose, and the palate mirrors those aromas. It's just so delicious. And then soon come, we have our 5 year rum that I'm really excited for. All of our rums have been winning awards like nonstop for the flavor. And even, our carbon negative and the sustainable practices that we've been able to maintain. But yeah, tasting it by itself first, for sure, to get a lay of the land. People speak about terroirs, it applies to wine. I think the same thing goes for rum. And you definitely taste the terroir, being that this is a sugarcane juice rum of Belize in that area. If we're talking cocktails, one of my favorite cocktails and ways to really see how a rum expresses itself is a classic daiquiri. So rum, lime, sugar, that's it. I think, that's a great way to try these rums. Something like the barrel rested, you can enjoy stirred in like an old fashioned Manhattan type vibe. We do have some recipes on the website for people who might be curious on how they could be using it at home. But I've even found the cacao rum to make an excellent classic daiquiri. The cacao daiquiri has been my go-to in things like let's say, the Jungle Bird or an espresso martini. It also shines really well. So I definitely encourage people to experiment in how they use these rums. It's really fun, but tasting it by itself, for sure, just to see where you're starting, tasting it side by side with some others, to see the big difference. But I think it speaks for itself. I think it's worth checking out the story behind this rum, visiting the website and our page. And, a bunch of folks have written about and expanded upon our story. Really grateful for that because it's deep. It's deep and wide, and there's just so much to learn and to know about this brand, but we keep the ingredients simple. That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah. And I think that that's why, when it enters the bottle, like it's so delicious, you don't have to cover anything up. You don't have to add a bunch of additives. There's nothing to hide. What comes out it is what it is. And it's damn good.
Absolutely. No sugar, no additives. That cacao rum that I mentioned, that is the cacao trees are being grown on the property. So I mentioned earlier, there are different aspects of the property. So we have the sugarcane fields, the distillery, Copalli Lodge, which actually came before the rum. But it's a resort of sorts, if we're layman's terms. And we have the farm where everything is grown from livestock, medicinal plants, fruit trees, vegetable trees, cacao trees. The cacao trees, that's how they get the cacao nibs.
Wow.
So seeing that process alone when I was able to visit the distillery was phenomenal. And it's just an infusion that's happening after the first distillation with that rum for about a week. Think a tea bag infusion. It's being steeped in there for a week's time, strained out, distilled yet again, and that really adds a nice texture to this cacao rum. It's smooth, it's creamy, and it's crystal clear. And beyond in your drinks, I think it would work really well in the culinary side. I've had a few baker friends try them, like, you must put this into your rum cake this season or use it in a glaze, or, like so many different iterations. I put a little splash in my iced coffee the other day and I was just like, yeah, this works too. So it's a really neat addition to your back bar, home bar, uh, your kitchen that I'm excited for, but to know that they are growing the cacao trees right there. And if you ever stay at Copalli Lodge, which recently got a Michelin key, so it should be on your radar, there is an opportunity to taste that cacao. There's a chocolate making class. There's a chocolatier on property. So there's a lot of fun things you can do there, including tasting all that they're growing there, all the animals, that are there and cute to look at, but also might be on your plate later in the day.
Um,
But it's a beautiful little worlds that they've created for sure.
that's amazing. It just sounds like a magical place, right? A
Yeah.
very thoughtful place.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I want to have a little fun with you. If Copalli was a person that came to your party, what type of guest would Copalli be?
I feel like Kapali walks into the room and there's like a mystique to them. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to know more about you. You look like you're somebody, but I might not know you. Some people do. And I'm just like, okay, so you're not a stranger in this party. I must know you. There's a mystique about you. When I finally get to know you, we're peeling back all these layers like an onion. And I leave there still thinking about you and pinching myself because I forgot to get your contacts. But luckily, I know we have some
Oh,
mutuals.
okay. That sounds like someone I want to date if I wasn't married.
Yes. But yeah, I wouldn't say that, Kapali is the person that's like standing on the table and, pouring shots and
Mhm.
laybacks. It's definitely a nice, classy, this is a premium rum, So I think
For
there's a
sure.
classiness that comes with it. And there's a mystery about it because, like I said, there are not many rums like this coming out of Belize.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like foreign in that way and in this category, but it leaves a lot to the imagination, I will say.
Yeah. Capelli's sexy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sexy.
That's my word to describe it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Just looking back on your career, you've done quite a lot and you really have paved your own way, which is incredibly inspiring. Do
Mhm.
you have any advice, Erica, that you could give to someone who's maybe just entering the beverage space or wants to dip their toe in it and just create their own path?
I think in life in general, even beyond this industry, there's a lot of comparison that happens. So I think really staying true to who you are. The hope is that you're an amazing person to begin with. But staying true to who you are and not trying to mold yourself into what you think you should be in order to get these opportunities is really important. Something that I did. I showed up as myself. I showed up for myself. I placed myself in rooms that, were foreign to me. And I didn't think twice about, if I deserved to be here. I knew I needed to be here. As someone who, just being in New Orleans, one would think it's so diverse. And at a time, you didn't see many Black and brown bartenders in a place like this, which is just so crazy. So, going through the Turning Tables program, which kind of pushes Black and brown hospitality individuals to the front, not only with the education, but for the opportunities. Like, I'm really grateful for that. Because a lot of these rooms I would walk into, I might be the only one, there might be only a handful, and you just have to do so confidently, be there, knowing that you're there for a reason, and really signing up for things. Some people, they're just like, I don't need to do these cocktail competitions, but I've learned so much from these cocktail competitions, for the opportunities that I've had to advance to regionals and like see people present, see how they present, see the cocktail that they came up with. I'm like, wow, you definitely showed up here with like the little wooden box with the moss and the dry ice and the smoke and everything. And I'm like, what did I do? I had a cool story though. So yes, there were moments of comparison, but I saw that as an opportunity for me to step it up. I'm like, okay, beyond the story, how do I present this in a larger way the next time around? I didn't win this time, but next one, I've got this down. I know what to do. And also to be able to connect with these different people, like people who have been bartending for years. There are so many things that I can learn from them. So connecting, networking, and opportunities like that. There are different conferences. I'm here in New Orleans, so it's great. I'm right here for Tales of the Cocktail. But, I've been able to go to Camp Runamuck, Portland Cocktail Week, Tiki by the Sea was one of my first conferences that I went to. And as someone who's a rum lover, like you got to sign up, you'll figure out a way. It's sometimes easier said than done when, you're working full time. You might be a mom or dad, and you have all these other responsibilities, but it's really allowing those things to not be the excuse for self-betterment. There are online courses that you can take, videos that you can be watching, R&D that you could be doing at home just for your own good, not because it's for something for your bar. So it's really taking that initiative, and that's something I've always done. I've been disciplined in that way. I've kept the momentum going. I didn't see one win as the end all be all. Constantly finding ways to learn more on my own, or signing up for the W set or bar 5. So sorry, I'm ranting right now,
Not at
but
all. This is all such good information because I think a lot of folks don't know where to start. And so they just don't start. If you don't put your toe in and just do it, and I always say that if you don't just do it, it's never going to happen.
absolutely. And I will say, do not be discouraged, because some of these programs you do have to sign up for. They only have a certain amount of people. And it might be, oh, they didn't take me 2 years in a row. It's rigged. And I'm like, no, you just have to try again, or put yourself out there. Show up, be in these rooms, connect with people. The internet, thank God for the internet, because you can easily slip into someone's DMs and not be weird about it and just introduce yourself like, hey, I love the amazing things you're doing. What advice do you have for someone like me? The fact that you even started that conversation, the next time you see this person at a conference, they might even know you by name and face, and they'll be like, hey, I remember you. And that's how it starts, like putting yourself in these spaces. The more people see your face, they're like, who is this person? They're always doing something. And that was another way I kind of like made my way into this. I just showed up, and I've seen other people do it as well. They're like, okay, I'm a bartender, I'm gonna do this. And people think that they're this overnight success. And I'm just like, that's not how this works. There's a lot of the behind the scenes things that you are not seeing, the late nights, like the investments, the
Doing
financial.
your expenses. Ew.
Ugh,
Ugh.
gosh, don't even get me started with that. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not easy, but it's definitely attainable. And even if you're in a small city, I've met people who, there's only one bar in their town and they found their way to Camp Runamuck, and now they know all these bartenders across the nation. Like all of it is intertwined. When you first asked me about my journey, I said, I'll try to simplify it, but so many moving parts, so many organizations, so many people had a major part in my journey that I'm so grateful for. And, it's that community and hospitality that really assisted me in my path and has helped me get to where I'm going. Because even in times when I didn't believe in myself, there were other people who believed in me.
Yeah. And it's important to allow yourself to let folks in, right? And not to think that you have to do it all on your own, and to find yourself, a mentor or a group of people that when you're not in the room, they're going to say your name in a very positive way. For me, even in my career, that's been very important. My career is before the internet. So imagine, so
Uh,
super important.
Yeah, I've been grateful to have so many mentors throughout my career, one with turning tables and beyond that, brand ambassadors who I connected with who were teachers during that program, bar managers at the different places that I've worked at, but also people that I've admired that I just reached out to. We again down the line cross paths, and all of a sudden, like you went from someone I admired, someone who became my mentor, to now you're my friend. And I love that for me. And it's none of this is linear. I think, people will Google, like, how do I get a mentor? And it's like, there's not one clear way on how that could happen for you, but you must start something and do something in order to get that going. Because, the universe will conspire.
Yeah.
Read The
Yeah.
Alchemist, and you will know.
Absolutely. And a mentor is a two-way street. I feel like it's very much a two-way street. I try very hard not to put my mentors up on a freaking pedestal because I know that they're humans and that they've made a million mistakes. But what's so great is that I get to learn from all those mistakes. And that's why they're a great mentor. Like, look, I've been there, I've done that, I effed this up, and please avoid doing this, kind of stuff.
Such great insight and perspective, and so much that you can learn from each other.
Yes.
Being someone
Yes.
newer in the game, I feel like I brought in a fresh perspective when I was getting
Mhm.
started. So though I never claimed to know it all, I knew that I was seeing things that you might not have seen because you've been doing it for years or might not have realized. Or guess what? I know how to use social media better than you too.
That's
We're
right.
going to figure this out together.
Hmm.
So yeah, there is a lot. Remain a student in life.
Oh, what a great saying. Remain a student in life. We'll need to put that one on a t-shirt. That's a good one.
Mhm.
Absolutely. When people experience Copalli rum, whether in a cocktail or at an event or just in Belize itself, let's say, what is the one feeling or legacy that you hope that they will carry on with them long after that glass is empty?
Well, to experience a cocktail in Belize is something like no other. I will say drinking Copalli cocktails in Belize is second to none. But experiencing a Copalli cocktail, I think I want people to have that feeling after, like, wow, that was super clean. There were no like off taste to it. And, I might feel my little buzz because obviously it's alcohol, but like I still feel good. And, I think the less ingredients that you have in something, the more likely it is that you're not going to have all those icky feelings that you might have with others that have those added sugars and colors and whatever else they might be adding in. So I want people to feel good in regard to everything. But yeah, just knowing that this was really clean, and especially for a rum, I really like this. Rum might get a bad rep sometimes because, people reference that like one overly sweet pina colada or that like rum that they had in college back in the day and like a punch or something. And they don't realize how diverse this category can be. So I want people to really taste this and get a new outlook on not only the category, but how great a sugarcane juice based rum can be and how approachable it can be. Like our white rum, I think, is a great entryway into the world of sugarcane juice rums. It definitely has that nice herbaceous, like floral funk, but nothing that is crazy for a first time, trier of this rum. But yeah, I want people to be pleasantly surprised and think to themselves, wow, this is super clean. This is neat. It's not burning my throat. I don't, feel sick after. I want all positive things.
All positive. So just really happy, good vibes.
Yes.
Yes. Where can our listeners find you if they want to follow you on social media and Copalli Rum?
Yes, yes. So Copalli Rum, Copalli, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Find us on all the things. And they can follow me, Erika Flowers, Erika Flowers, on Instagram. That's where I mostly post. Yeah, I'm sharing things Kapali. I'm sharing things in my life because I'm a human that does things beyond work as well. But yeah, I'm excited to, spend more time in Florida, New York, California, Texas. I'm here in New Orleans. So if you are in any of those places, you have Copalli available to you. If you are listening and you're in the industry, would love to come and visit you, send me a
Mm.
message. Let's figure out how you can get Copalli to you and try it so we can connect you with some folks. Like I said, we're still expanding, so we're not in all of the states as of yet. But, really hoping to have some cool things scheduled for Tales of the Cocktail. So when you do find yourself in these states where it is available, we want you to be able to try it in a really cool cocktail or connect with one of our sales managers to get a good taste of that. But yeah, Erika Flowers, Copalli Rum, give us a follow. You can learn more. Visit the website,
Mhm.
copallirum.com, because we do ship to states. So, we can ship to your house so long as you're in a place where we can get that to you. And you can just learn more about the brand and what it has to offer. Give us a Google us. There's a lot to learn. And even about me, if you give me a scroll, you'll see the many things that I have done in my life that has all led me here.
Wonderful. I want to thank you so much for coming on Served Up today. And I hope that you'll come back again as our guest.
Absolutely. I would love to. This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah, it's been really fun to dig in and to get to know you. And of course, all the great nuggets about Copalli. I'm already a fan of the rum, but I believe now you've really turned some of our listeners onto it. And with
Mm.
that, you know what, Erika, I just want to wish you some great health and a lot of peace. Cheers to you. Thank you for being on Served Up.
Thank you. Cheers, darling.
Thanks for listening. Served Up is brought to you by Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Produced by Zunu.online. Music by We Killed the Lion can be found on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of our future Served Up episodes. Cheers.